This is the living room, and this is the table in my living room, and so welcome to my house. And I love this table because I get to spend very good times with my family here. We have dinner here. Sometimes we're just sitting around the table to spend some time together, play a game or something, just have fun. When I used to have my small group here on Thursdays, this would be the table we would sit around, all four families, and the kids would come in and out from this place. This could become a really loud place. And this table on Thursdays, when we used to have a small group, became full of food and something to drink. And we would pray around this table. We would share our good moments around this table, and certainly we would share our bad moments around this table. We would be a family, and we would just do church here as it's supposed to be done among people. Eating is not only about eating, isn't it? Because when you're having dinner with someone, when you're eating with someone, you're actually relating to that person. You're actually talking to that person, having fun or discussing something important. It's not only about eating. I think that when God creating us with this need to eat, He on purpose determined that eating would take time and preparation and to sit down so we could relate to each other and talk. Otherwise, He would have made us like plants, like, you're under the sun for a bit, get watered, and that's the way you feed yourself. That would have been boring, wouldn't it? We would be skinnier though, but boring. And here in Argentina, when you ask someone out for coffee, the least important thing is coffee. The most important thing is you ask me out for coffee. That means we need to talk about something. We need to discuss something. People get into relationships during coffee. People can sign a contract around the table of coffee. People can get a job, or you can gain forgiveness, or you can ask for forgiveness around a coffee table. Now, every time I think about tables and eating, this story in the Old Testament comes to my mind. It's in 2 Samuel chapter 9. King David, before becoming a king, but he was also anointed by God to be the king. The king that was in the throne at that time, Saul, became very, very jealous about him. He spent a lot of energy and a lot of time trying to kill David. He had a son, Jonathan. He used to walk with God. So Jonathan, Saul's son, and David became very good friends. And they made a covenant. And the covenant was about, we're going to protect each other, and your family is going to be like my family. We're going to love each other, and your kids will be like my kids. So fast forward, David is the king now. And Jonathan is dead for long now, and King Saul is also dead. And at one moment in this passage, David goes out loud and says, is there still someone alive from that family? I kind of remember my covenant with them. Is there someone alive still? And they tell him, yes. Jonathan had a son. His name is Mephibosheth. Really? How come had I forgotten that? Call him to my presence. I want to know him. So Mephibosheth, a very poor guy, gets to be before the king that day, and he bows down. Of course, he thought David wanted to kill him because he had royal blood in his body, and he had a right to be the king. So maybe he thought, David is going to get rid of me, and so I don't interfere with his plans of continuing to be in the throne. And David, when he watches that, he says, hey, stand up. Do not be afraid. I'm here to be good to you, and I'm going to fulfill my promise to your father. And from now on, you're going to sit at my table. You're going to be like my son. And your son is going to be like my grandson. So this is what I can learn from this story. Mephibosheth was a forgotten person. He was forgotten. Is there still someone alive in that family? He was forgotten by his family, by his friends. He was alone. And the table of the king here represents for me the table of God. You can get as close to David than being around his table, and you can get as close to God than, if you can imagine having dinner with him. That's how close you can get to him, right? Like your father. So the table of God is a table for the forgotten, like Mephibosheth. And maybe you feel forgotten in these days by your family, by your friends, by your co-workers. Your boss is not calling you, and you're not being given anything to do. Did they forget about me? Mephibosheth has a very low esteem as well. He said, "Who am I that you are mindful about me? I'm like a dead dog." That's how he thought about himself. I'm like a dead dog. Maybe you feel like that too. Like, I'm nobody. I'm nobody. I'm the last of the least. Nobody cares about me. I'm all alone in my house. I'm like a dead dog. I didn't even own a house. I don't know for how long I'm going to be able to be in a house. The table of the king, the table of God, is also for those of us who feel very little about ourselves in this time. Also, Mephibosheth was broken. Did you know that his both feet he was lame in his both feet, because when he was a baby, someone by accident dropped him to the floor. So he was a broken person. Maybe you're broken right now by this virus. Maybe you're broken in your inner because you're very sad. Maybe you're mentally challenged or ill. Maybe you're fighting depression or anxiety or panic attacks. Well, the table of the king, the table of God, is for those who are broken as well, like Mephibosheth. And lastly, Mephibosheth was fearful. Are you going to kill me? And I'm sure you're fearful too. There's days I'm fearful. When am I going to get out of my house? How is my economy going to be when this all ends? And how's the church going to be? And you're just fearful about the future because you're in a situation like you've never been before. The table of the king, the table of God, is also for the fearful. So welcome to God's table, because if you feel fearful, if you feel broken, if you feel forgotten, or any of those, then you're allowed into the table of the king. You're allowed in the table of God. So may these words encourage you today. And own that right. Go to your father, go to the king, talk to him, tell him how you feel, and let him restore everything back to you as David did with Mephibosheth, and let him comfort you.